Hi, fourth graders. Mrs. Hinterliter here, bringing you your weekly reading comprehension skill. This week and next, we're going to be focusing on inferencing. So, what is inferencing? Inferencing is a reading comprehension skill that readers use to come to a conclusion about something that they are reading. To make an inference, you must use your background knowledge, meaning the knowledge that you already have, and clues from the text to come to a conclusion. Authors don't and can't write everything in the story for you, so you have to be able to fill in the gaps on your own. Let's look at an example of what inferencing could be using our video. Okay, so in previous videos, the YouTube sound wasn't working, and I think that I've been able to crack the code on it. So let's see.
All right, you guys, pull over. That's the bank's money right there. I caught you red-handed. You're going to spend a long time behind bars.
You're not going to jail. That's not in the script.
Are you serious?
Check it out. First, you leap onto their car and yell, "All right, you guys, pull over." And then you say, "That's the bank's money right there." Then I caught you red-handed. Then nothing. See, there is no line about spending time behind bars.
I guess I made an inference. I mean, look. The alarm is going off at the bank. They're running from the police. And they have bags of cash from the bank in the car. I made an inference that they were going to jail because of what they did.
You made an inference? What on earth are you talking about?
Well, I read the text. I thought about what I know, and so I made an inference.
Oh, now I get it. Of course. In real life, they'd have to be arrested and charged. And there'd be a trial and lawyers. And before we knew for sure, they were going to jail.
What if I say, you guys are going to need a good lawyer?
Yes, that works for me. All right, everyone. We'll do it again.
All right. Hopefully that's better for that. Now, just remember, good readers like you use inferencing all the time. So just think about the last book you were reading. Were you thinking ahead about what might be happening and using the clues from the text and then found out that you were right? That's using inferencing. So let's practice using inferencing together. Maggie was getting ready to walk to school. She put on her coat and grabbed her backpack. As she was leaving, her mother said, "I love you, be careful." You can infer that A, Maggie is in kindergarten or first grade. B, Maggie lives close to school. C, Maggie is never late for school. Or D, Maggie is excited about going to school. Well, using prior knowledge that I already have, and clues from the text, you should have chose B, Maggie lives close to school. There is no text evidence to support C or D, that she's never late or that she's excited about going to school. And my prior knowledge tells me that a kindergartner or a first grader is pretty young to be walking by themselves to school. So B, her living close to school, is the best choice for an inference for this scenario. I know that you have to live close to the school in order to walk, because if you lived farther away, that would be more of a challenge. So using my background knowledge and the text, I was able to come up with B as the best answer. Now let's take a look at Hudson. Hudson hurried out of the house so he wasn't late for work. He wore overalls and carried a toolbox with wrenches in it. He hopped in his truck and drove off. The sign on his truck said Pipe Masters. You can infer that A, Hudson is an auto mechanic. B, Hudson enjoys his job. C, Hudson works as a plumber. Or D, Hudson is a truck salesman. Let's take a look at the clues in this text again. Two big clues that I see is that he carries a toolbox with wrenches in it. I'm trying to think of a job that would require wrenches. Also, the side of his truck says pipe masters, so his job has to include working with pipes. Do you have your answer? Hopefully you picked C like I did. Hudson works as a plumber. I know plumbers use wrenches to work with pipes, and the side of his truck says pipe masters. There is not enough text evidence to prove that he's an auto mechanic or a truck salesman, and there is no text evidence to support that he enjoys his job, making C, Hudson works as a plumber, our best answer. Now let's look at Nicole. Nicole came out of the elevator in her apartment building. She ran to the curb and held up her arm to hail a taxi. When she hopped in, she said, "Please take me to 345 45th Street." You can infer that A, Nicole's car is broken, B, Nicole is going on vacation, C, Nicole is going shopping, or D, Nicole lives in a large city. Well, I know that I can eliminate two choices right away. I know that I can eliminate B and C because there's no evidence in the text to support that she's going on vacation or that she's going shopping. So now it's down to A, her car is broken, or D, she lives in a large city. Well, using the text clues and my prior knowledge, I picked D, she lives in a large city. Now, D is the best answer because of the three clues in the text. The first one is that she came out of the elevator in her apartment building. Now, there are apartment buildings in places like Moon Township, which isn't a large city, but the city is known for having a lot of large apartment buildings. Also, she ran to the curb and held up her arm to hail a taxi. There aren't many taxis that run around in Moon Township, but there are lots of taxis in a large city. Last but not least, the street, 45th Street, gives me a small clue. I know in the city, oftentimes streets are named in number order to make traveling easy, making D, her living in a large city, the best answer. Let's look at one more together before you try some on your own. Everett held his father's hand as he crossed the busy parking lot. They walked into a grocery store. Everett's dad lifted him into the seat of the shopping cart. "Here," said Dad, "you can hold my shopping list." You can infer that A, Everett had never been to a grocery store, B, Everett's dad does not shop often, C, Everett's dad needs help with the shopping, or D, Everett is very young. Now, on this slide, you can use not only text evidence, but you can also use the evidence found in the picture on the left to help you get the right answer. Do you have your answer? Hopefully you picked D. Everett is very young. I know Everett's very young not only because he's very young in the picture on the left, but also because he had to hold his father's hand as they crossed the busy parking lot. Parents always hold their young child's hands when they cross busy parking lots, whereas fourth graders like yourselves might not need to still hold your parent's hand. The other clue in the text tells me that Everett's dad lifted him into the seat of the shopping cart. Now, I know fourth graders aren't sitting in the seat of the shopping cart anymore, but maybe little brothers, sisters, cousins, or other little kids that you've seen in the store are sitting in that seat. Well, I know only a very young, small person can fit in that seat, so that's why D is the best answer for this scenario. Now I have 3 scenarios for you to try on your own. I'm going to read them to you, and then I'm going to ask you to pause the video so you can reread them to yourself and choose the best answer before we go over them together. Number 1, Avery watched as her new next-door neighbors moved in. She observed a tall man carrying a bicycle and a kayak into the garage. She also saw a young woman carrying a surfboard through the front door. Avery can infer that A, her new neighbors are elderly, B, her new neighbors have several children, C, her new neighbors like to spend time outdoors, or D, her new neighbors are kind and generous. Let's take a look at Kayla. Kayla made a steak dinner for her family. Her mom and dad each ate 2 full steaks and had large helpings of mashed potatoes. When the meal was over, everyone's plate was empty. Kayla can infer that A, her family enjoyed the meal, B, the steak was too well done, C, a steak dinner is an easy meal to make, or D, there will be lots of leftovers. Last one, when Joseph walked into the kitchen, he saw muddy paw prints on the floor. His mother's wet coat was hanging on a chair. Below the coat, he spotted his mother's rubber shoes. Joseph looked for his dog, Riley. He found Riley, who was soaking wet, lying on the couch panting. Joseph can infer that A, his mother gave Riley a bath, B, Riley played in the yard during a rainstorm, C, Riley dragged the coat outside, or D, his mother took Riley for a walk in the rain. All right, fourth graders, now I would ask for you to pause the video, reread the 3 scenarios, and come up with your answer choices. Now that you've reread the 3 scenarios and have come up with your answer choices, let's go over the correct answers together. C is the correct answer for Avery's scenario. She can infer that her new neighbors like to spend time outdoors because she saw them carrying things like bicycles, kayaks, and surfboards. Those activities are all done outdoors. So C is the best answer. There is no text evidence to support that her neighbors are elderly, that they have children, or that they're kind and generous. In Kayla's scenario, she can infer that her family enjoyed the meal, A. We know that because they ate 2 full steaks and a large helping of mashed potatoes. When you really like a meal, you tend to eat more of it. Also, there was nothing left on the plate when the dinner was over. That tells me that they really enjoyed their meal. And there was no evidence to support choices B, C, or D. Last but not least, in Joseph's scenario, the best answer. His mother took Riley for a walk in the rain. There wasn't enough evidence to support that Riley played in the rain outside in the yard, or that he dragged the coat outside. The other answer, A, was a good answer, but not the best, because it doesn't explain why the mother's coat was wet and her shoes were wet too. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and time for you to challenge yourself. This week, I want you to come up with a short text, just like the ones we went over, and add a few answer choices. Then give it to a family member to answer and tell them that they'll be using inferencing to do so. Have fun with it. Last but not least, here's mine. Thanks for joining me this week. Until next time.